The search for defensive coordinator continues. What's up, Vikings Nation, and welcome to the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate. I'm your host, Trey Wicks. Now, we all know that the Minnesota Vikings are without a defensive coordinator at this point in time. We had to let old Ed Donatell leave the building, okay, because he stunk it up. All right, well, that's saying it easy. You guys have your own words. I have my own on the side as well. So we've been looking and searching for a defensive coordinator, and let me tell you, the search continues. Now, we've been linked to Vic Fangio. Please, dear God, no, because he's the exact same to Ed Donatell. Basically, Ed Donatell was his assistant in Denver. They ran the exact same thing that they did with last year with the Minnesota Vikings, or this season with the Minnesota Vikings. We've been linked to Brian Flores, who seems like he might end up with that Arizona Cardinals head coaching job. However, we never know. He could still be a potential candidate. However, another name, even though I linked Lovie Smith to us, another name has rose from the ashes into the atmosphere of potentially being the new defensive coordinator for the Vikings. This one's a far-fetched one, but look, this is per Ben Gosling. He said, Vikings have had interest in Broncos defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, as Seifert ESPN said. But it's still Denver's call as to whether they'll let him interview. Evero is a head coach candidate too, but since he's still under contract, Broncos could block him from defensive coordinator interviews. Okay, he follows it up, kind of gives it a little bit more, how do you want to say it, magnitude, or a little bit more, stuff. All right. So he says nothing is scheduled with Evero at the moment. Overall, the pace has been slow on the Vikings defensive coordinator interviews with candidates like Evero and Brian Flores still in the head coach mix. Coaches are also getting some time off this week. Okay, and he says, so there's several dominoes to fall yet if this were to happen. Okay, number one, head coach possibilities for Evero and Flores. So we have to make sure those are out of the question. They're not going to get them. That's the first thing. The second thing, if Evero doesn't get a head coaching job, the Broncos have to decide whether to keep him as DC or let him interview. And last but not least, number three, the Vikings have to make their decision. Sean Desai remains a strong candidate as well. I believe he comes from Seattle or something like that. We interviewed him not too long ago. But look, this is a far-fetched option. Okay, I talked to the Denver Broncos Syndicate host, and I was like, tell me a little bit about this guy. What do you know and stuff? And he said he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. He basically took what Vic Fangio and Ed Donatell built over there and made it better. Okay, added those blitz packages, changed up the coverage, did a little bit more man, where Ed Donatell obviously was all zone coverage, no blitzing. Danielle Hunter was in pass coverage, stuff like that. So Evero was actually able to modernize it, adapt, overcome that type of scheme, and make it way better. Now, obviously, this all comes down, or the choice comes down to who Sean Payton wants to keep in-house. Okay, if Sean Payton wants Evero and he doesn't get a head coaching job, the Broncos will block his option to interview with other teams for their defensive coordinator position. Now, also, the host of the Denver Broncos Syndicate said Denver would be dumb if they let him go. If they let him walk out of the building, they would be dumb. Now, do they let him interview? I guess we'll find out. But that is another name that has entered the defensive coordinator carousel. Who are the Vikings going to sign? You guys let me know in the comment section below what you would want or who you would want for defensive coordinator and why potentially. Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It would be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and SKOL Vikes.